state of Iowa, that means it's State Fair time. Lori Chappell, Marketing Director for the Iowa State Fair, is here to talk to us about the big event, traffic safety, DART bus schedules, parking, all the things you need to know before you go. Lori, thank you for being with us today.
You're welcome.
Well, first of all, I want to know, what are the big new events at the Iowa State Fair this year?
Well, the 2012 Iowa State Fair is Fairlicious, and you're going to see all things food related throughout the grounds. New foods, we're celebrating foods that people eat every year, and we also will have concrete food in the form of 3.5-foot tall concrete ice cream cones.
Wow. Well, I've heard some rumors. Are there healthy things on a stick this year?
We are partnering with Hy-Vee and Iowa State University Extension as part of the Healthiest State Initiative. And as part of that, we're going to be promoting our healthy foods as well as healthy things to do at the State Fair. And of course, when you think of healthy things to do, there's lots of walking at the fair.
Lots of walking. Wear your walking shoes.
Absolutely. And part of that, though, is the foods, because so many people associate the Iowa State Fair with wonderful foods, and there are many healthy ones to enjoy there. This year we have fruit on a stick, which will...
Which is good.
Yes, yeah. Absolutely. And that's going to feature pineapple and berries on a stick with a yogurt dipping sauce. And there are plenty of other options, whether it's at the salad bowl, has salad on a stick, which is very popular. And a lot of people wonder how you put that together.
With tomatoes and a little lettuce, I guess?
They're actually iceberg wedges with cherry tomatoes, cucumber, all just kebabbed, and you get your dressing on the side. So
that'll work.
It's very unique and very popular. We have just an array of healthy foods. They're all listed on our website, iowastatefair.org, and we'll also be having information at our information booths with lists of healthy things to do and eat at the State Fair.
Well, the one guilt-free thing about what you eat is that you walk it off.
That's right, and in fact, there will be a map that will be available at our information booths listing the distances from certain points of the fairgrounds to other destinations. So,
oh, that's a neat idea.
Yeah,
so you can kind of clock how many miles, because you do miles at the State Fair, whether you realize it or not.
That's right, a lot of walking involved.
Well, I know that there is a lot of great entertainment at the fair, and I'm really impressed with the free concerts because there's some top-name performers. And I want to show a little short clip. We saw this on your website. Hey, this is who you'll see free of charge once you get into the fair. Let's take a look.
It's Fairlicious.
From food on a stick to the butter cow, entertainment to rides, animals to contests, nothing compares to the Iowa State Fair.
What I'd like to know is, how can the State Fair make these great concerts free?
Well, certainly it's built into our budget as we plan for the next year, but beyond that, every year we're trying to look ahead. You know, who's the up-and-coming act? Who can we book now that may hit it big? For instance, the band Perry, when we booked them for last year, we were ahead of the curve and got them prior to them skyrocketing to success. So we were able to get that act quite economically and put it on a free stage. This year they're on the grandstand stage. So I encourage everybody to check that out. But that's the case with a lot of our acts. You'll see a lot of up-and-comers, but also we've got other great acts like Boys to Men, we've got the Nadas, a local favorite, and just an array of entertainers that are going to be on our free stages.
You know, the Nadas are very popular, and that was my next question, is how many local artists or talent do you have at the fair that are from Central Iowa?
We have more than 140 acts that are from Central Iowa, and that includes the local dance studios, tumbling, gymnastics groups, cloggers, vocalists, bands, everything that you can think of are on our free stages throughout the day. And of course, the Nadas are probably the most well-known of all those.
Well, that's great. I mean, and a lot of people get their start at the state fair.
They do.
They get their start there. Well, let's talk a little bit about the logistics of getting to the fair so we can get to all that wonderful food and free entertainment. There are a few things that you should know before you go. Everybody talks about the traffic, so my first question would be, how many parking spaces are available actually on the fairground?
Well, it varies by day, obviously. We try to park as many people in our north lot as realistically possible. And that will vary depending on the weather, if it's been rainy and we have areas to avoid. And just, you know, earlier in the morning we'll get a lot more cars in there than we do in the afternoon as there are holes and we fill them. But we typically have space for nearly 10,000 cars. We're adding an additional parking area to the east of what's currently our Sims lot, so I want to remind people about that. And certainly there's a lot of parking on the side streets, a lot of residential areas opening their yards and lots to parkers that are coming to the fairgrounds. And probably the most important thing to remember is DART shuttle buses are available.
Okay, so there are some alternatives, and I'd like to kind of go over some of those. Maybe we can put these up on the screen. You don't have to drive to the fairground.
No, in fact, the best way to get to the Iowa State Fair is to take the DART shuttle, and we have 3 convenient locations for people to do that, whether it's at Southeast Polk High School, Center Street Park and Ride, or at the Capitol. And the fantastic thing is, it's free to park at those locations. You pay when you board. It's a round-trip fare. It's $2. However, if you buy an advanced admission ticket, you're going to pay half price. So it's simply $1 for adults, 50 cents for kids 10 to 5. And it's the way to go. There's no looking for parking when you get to the fairgrounds. You get dropped off at the gate, and how simple is that?
That's pretty good, and it's available, I think, from 8:30 in the morning until the fair closes.
Yep, until midnight. We extend those hours when there's a late show in the grandstand. And just a few years ago, we expanded those hours. Previously, it was only Southeast Polk offering that length of time, but now it is 8:30 to midnight at all 3 locations.
Okay. And now we know that it's a great economic booster for the people in that neighborhood because there is parking in yards and different lots. But we have a tip for those people, and that is to try to remember the address to where you parked.
That's very true.
I can't tell you how many times I've been heading back and people are saying, well, is this so? And you see them go. They've had a great time at the fair and they've kind of forgot where they parked their car. So maybe you want to write it down or put it on your hand or something. But let's go on. There's a couple of other things that I wanted to share with our viewers about the fair, and that is on the east side. This is a major traffic. I mean, you're parking 10,000. There's a lot more people coming into that. So who do you work with in terms of managing traffic and public safety for the fair?
Well, it's a large group of folks who plan once the fair ends to the beginning of the next fair. It seems it never ends, and it's a collaborative effort of, you know, Des Moines Police Department. We work with Department of Public Safety and the state troopers, and then of course our own Public Safety Department as well. We also work with Polk County Emergency Management for planning in any kind of crisis situation. So those meetings are ongoing, and certainly the safety of our fairgoers is first and foremost in the minds of all of us involved.
There is so much to do at the fair. It's probably a good idea to plan out your day or 2 days or 3 days because it does take some time to see it. What do you suggest people do?
Well, certainly plan ahead. Visit the Iowa State Fair's website at iowastatefair.org. And there's a wealth of information for planning ahead, whether it be our walking tours that are 3, 6, and 9 hours. They're especially useful for first-time fairgoers. It tells you the hot spots not to miss at the fair. as well as our daily program information that's all posted. So if you know the day and times that you're coming to the fair, print those out and bring them with you. You can customize your schedule for the day. And if you're interested in entertainment, we do have a media player, so you can check out the faces and the songs of all the entertainers and decide how many days you want to attend.
Lori, thank you so much for taking time to visit with us. I know this is a very busy time of the year for the State Fair, and we're all looking forward to having a wonderful time. Up next, we're going to talk about traffic and transportation, so stay tuned. We'll be right back.
I have the privilege and the responsibility of directing a Shakespeare troupe. It can be challenging, but it's always compelling, and it's always a learning experience. I learn a lot from what Shakespeare has written, and I learn a lot about what people bring to Shakespeare. Shakespeare is a treasure chest in terms of all the characters that he contains. You look at all those people inside that treasure chest, and you learn a lot about life. My name is Lorenzo, and I geek Shakespeare.
It's Fairlicious.
From food on a stick to the butter cow, entertainment to rides, animals to contests, nothing compares to the Iowa State Fair.
Des Moines has a wonderful system of off-street trails and on-street bike lanes. Warm weather brings an increase in activity on our trails as well as biking. And so it's important for all of us to know the rules of the road established by city ordinance. My next guest is City Traffic Engineer Jennifer Boack from the Traffic and Transportation Division of the Engineering Department. Welcome to City Talk.
Thank you.
Well, tell me now, there are several streets in the city of Des Moines that have bike lanes. Where are they and how are they marked?
Thank you. There are several locations we do have existing bike lanes. There's bike lanes on Ingersoll, bike lanes on MLK east of the river. We also have bike lanes on Walnut Street, Beaver Avenue, Cottage Grove, and East 6 are just some of the locations that we have bike lanes in the city. These facilities are often marked with a solid white line and a bike symbol with an arrow in the lane to designate that lane for use for bicycles only.
Okay, now the bike lanes have been there. They're recent. I think the last 2 years maybe or so. Mm-hmm. So there are lots of questions for some people, and I'm one of them. So when there are no bikes in the lane, can I drive over there?
You are not allowed to drive down the bike lane. As a motor vehicle, you are allowed to cross the bike lane if you're parking your car or turning in and out of a driveway, but you are not allowed to actually drive down that lane.
I'm glad you told me that. Tell us, why does the city of Des Moines or any city have bike lanes?
Well, the move towards alternative modes of transportation, you may be hearing this term, or being green and being sustainable for the future. To do that, we need to rely on ways to get around besides the automobile. So the big part is to start developing those connections between this great system of off-street recreational trails that we have, yes, to create this on-street system to start to connect some of those off-street trails. That'll provide people the opportunity to not just use bicycles for recreation, but use them to get back and forth to work, to do commerce and other types of business in the city.
You know, it's interesting because you do, particularly in the warmer weather, see people using them to get to work, which is great. The city has an ordinance that the bike lanes or bike accommodations and the rules to follow, and I want us to review some of those bike lane rules by city ordinance, what they say and what exactly that means. And there are only 5 of them. So number 1 says that a person may ride a bicycle on a street, a sidewalk, a park road, or a multi-use trail. Is that everybody, kids, adults?
That's correct. Anybody can ride a bicycle on any of those types of places that you mentioned.
Okay, number 2, bicyclists must obey all motor vehicle laws, including stop signs, traffic signals, and ride with traffic in the same direction of travel and as close as practical to the right-hand curb or roadway edge.
That's correct. All bicycles are supposed to follow the same rules of the road as a motor vehicle. They're supposed to use hand signals when they're changing in or out of the bike lane, and they need to stop at traffic signals, stop at stop signs. Same rules apply.
Well, that's good. Now, you're going to laugh at this. It's going to show my age, but in the old days, kids were taught to ride facing the traffic. I don't know why. Maybe it's because we wanted to make sure we could see what was coming toward us. So if the parents are giving them the wrong rules, it's good to know that these are the rules, and they're posted somewhere on our website, aren't they?
Actually, they're not posted on our website, but the DOT does have them posted on their website, the Iowa Rules of the Road when bicycling. But yes, as a bicycle, you should always follow along with traffic, not against traffic.
Okay. Now it says, when riding on a multi-use trail, cyclists shall not be more than 2 abreast. Bicyclists may ride on public sidewalks in a careful and prudent manner and shall yield to all pedestrians on the sidewalk. Sounds great, but what does that mean?
Essentially, what we want to ensure is that there's room on our multi-use trails for all types of users that we see there. So we don't want cyclists riding more than 2 abreast, so they actually create a blockage on our multi-use trail. And also, our multi-use trails are often not wide enough to accommodate cyclists riding more than 2 abreast, and also have room for that traffic coming the other direction on the trail. As far as on the sidewalk, pedestrians do move a lot slower than the bicycles, so the bicyclists need to definitely yield to the pedestrian.
Okay, we can share the lane or share the sidewalk. Now, if bike lanes are present, this is number 4, bikes may ride in the lane, but they are not required to use the bike lanes. A bicyclist must signal when entering or leaving the bike lane. So, if they're not in the bike lane, where are they?
As just by state law, bicycles are allowed to use the road, and so they can use the striped bike lane, or they can use the regular travel lane, or they can use the turn lane, to get around and get where they're going. And so they do have that option.
So they can ride right along in front of a vehicle, single or 2 abreast.
They could, but however, the other part of the road is, the rules is still, we really encourage them to ride to the rightmost of the road. And so again, that put them typically in that area of the bike lane, but they could ride in front of a traveling car. They could do that by law.
All right, number 5, no person shall drive a motor vehicle in a marked bike lane unless it is to park or to enter or exit a driveway or to turn at an intersection.
That's correct. If you're making a right turn at an intersection, you can move into that bike lane area at the intersection in order to make your turn. You can cross the bike lane to park, or you can turn across the bike lane to get into and out of a driveway. But you cannot drive down the bike lanes.
This is good education for all of us. I've always wanted to ask this, so I'm glad you're here. There are marked bicycle lanes across central Iowa, and some of them have different symbols. I want Chris to put this symbol up because I saw it in West Des Moines. And tell me what this symbol says or what it means, because when I first saw it, I thought, that's not one I see in Des Moines.
No, you're right. In fact, there's a variety of different markings for different types of accommodations we have for bicycles in the city. One is the marked bike lane, which has the solid white stripe and the bicycle symbol. The other is what's shown on the screen, which is called a sharrow, or kind of a shared lane arrow. So, and what that's for is it's for an area where we can't have a specific, we can't dedicate a specific amount of the lane, the travel lane, to just bicycle use. So the sharrow goes in the travel lane where the vehicles are to remind the vehicles that bicycles could be in this lane. It also provides the bicyclists the proper place to ride. It's recommended for them to ride. Again, you'll see them a little bit further over to the right side of the road, kind of to match those rules of the road that we talked about. And so there's different types of symbols you'll see on the road depending on what type of use. So sometimes you'll have a dedicated lane, which is your bike lane, and then other times you'll see the sharrow, which is the shared use type lane marking.
Light bulb. Well, that's great to know. Now I know what that means. I want to alert all of our viewers that the state of Iowa, as she mentioned, does have rules for the road for bicycles. So after all, we are RAGBRAI. We do have RAGBRAI, and they travel from one end of the state to the other. So we all need to be aware of those rules. And they're available on the DOT webpage, which is up on the screen right now. You could go to www.iowa.gov/map/pdf/bikelaws.pdf. So that gives you all of the rules, and since we see so much of it during the summer, it's a good idea to go there and get a refresher. Keep in mind that these rules are here to keep all of us safe this summer, and we hope you do have a safe summer while you're biking. Now, some citizens may not be aware that the City of Des Moines also has an ordinance that prohibits posting signs in the public right-of-way. If you got your City Source newsletter, you would have read about this already, but Jennifer's going to help us understand that as well. The public right-of-way is the area between the curb and the back edge of the sidewalks, and signs are not allowed in this area. And that's so that the traveling public will be able to see when you're turning a curve or going into an intersection. But there's a lot more to that than just what I've just read there. And Jennifer, I'd like you to tell us a little bit about the enforcement that the City of Des Moines has been working on for the public right-of-way and these signs.
Sure. Due to complaints we've heard from area residents through the City Council, we now have a dedicated effort with staff from different city departments that are often out in the field. They're out in the city on a daily basis just doing their daily task, are also now being tasked with picking up legal signs. And so we do have a dedicated effort to this now.
Okay. How many signs have they collected so far?
The staff is currently collecting approximately 700 signs a month, so it's a good number.
700 a month?
Mm-hmm.
Jeez. Well, how big is the enforcement effort? Is it just your department? Are there other departments engaged in this?
It's several city departments, from Parks and Recreation to Community Development to Traffic and Transportation to Public Works. It's a combined effort.
Okay. And I understand that in addition to picking up these signs, that the City of Des Moines is also using the judicial process. Is that correct?
That's correct. We have certain repeat offenders, such as I buy junk cars, or I sell houses and things like that. And those repeat offenders are the ones that we will go ahead and prosecute. In fact, we were just successful in prosecuting a case this summer where we did get a verdict of a fine of $750, and the defendant was told to not be caught placing signs in the right of way again, or they will be also face additional charges.
And this was in district court here in Iowa?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, I want you to help our viewers understand, what are the types of signs that are illegal, or maybe the areas that we're talking about that you don't want to put signs?
Great. Yeah, there's different variety of signs. The type of illegal signs are these kind of temporary signs, such as garage sale signs, political signs, these NutriShop signs, the I buy a junk car signs, these different types of signs that are business type advertisement in our right of way.
So anything in the right of way is illegal, unless it's an official city sign. But I don't want people to think that they can't do signs, because you have signs on private property. So why don't you explain to us how that works?
Sure. Signs are allowed on private property, of course, with consent of that private property owner. Things like real estate signs or garage sale signs, those temporary event type signs, can go on private property, again with the permission of the private property owner. More permanent type of signage has a permitting process, even on private property, that would be handled through our community development department.
Okay, now there are rules for private property with garage sale signs. Can you tell, or open house, or things that you see a lot of during the summer months? Mm-hmm. So what do those rules say?
Those rules are that they can be put up to twice a year on private property for no more than 4 days.
Okay. And then they have to take them down after that event.
Yes.
Now, because the city is collecting 700 of these signs a month, what happens if the resident or company wants their sign back?
Well, the signs are available to be picked up at the Public Works Yard at 107 Southeast 5th Street. These signs will be disposed of twice yearly on both January 1 and July 1. So your sign will be available during that 6-month period, but on January 1 and July 1 they will be disposed of.
Des Moines has a beautiful landscape, so let's all work together to keep our city streets free of clutter. Well, August is the time that most families are preparing their kids to go back to school. And among the many tasks of buying supplies and clothes and shoes, don't forget to talk to your children about back to school safety. Jennifer, this is also an area that's covered by traffic and transportation. So what should people be talking to their kids about for going back to school?
Well, some of the things for people to be aware about is, to drive the proper speed limit in those school zones. When those flashers are flashing, the speed limit is 25, and it's really important. Those areas are where the speeds are lowered is because there is a lot of pedestrian and young children activity in those areas. So it's important to be patient and aware when driving in those areas. Parents should also make their children knowledgeable of the different types of traffic rules. Often kids are small, they don't know, they're not always paying attention. So do talk to their children about being aware as they walk back and forth to school. In addition, I guess this would be a tip for parents as they're driving around, for those crossing guards are out. So definitely obey them. Their job is to get your children back and forth across the road safely. So it's very important to make sure that you are aware and following what they have to say.
Yeah, you really want to keep your eyes more on the crossing guard. I mean, sometimes the light might change, but you can notice sometimes if there are a lot of kids out there, you really need to just kind of slow down and follow what they're asking you to do. And I think it's important because I have kids. You see kids sometimes horsing around, and that's really, you tell them, you really need to pay attention when you're walking in those intersection areas, because they'll dart out without even thinking. We know that. So those are really good tips. Jennifer, thank you so much for being with us. You've provided us with a wealth of information about biking and illegal signs, and of course, public safety. So thank you for joining us, and we hope you'll come back, because you guys cover a lot of territory we need to share with our viewers.
Well, thank you.
Before we close, I'd like to thank all of the sponsors for the City Source newsletter, which was delivered to homes this month: the Iowa State Fair, Des Moines University, the Hy-Vee Triathlon, and the Neighborhood Finance Corporation. The City of Des Moines really appreciates your support. That wraps up this edition of City Talk. I hope you will join us again here on DMTV, City Cable Channel 7. Every month, we'll visit with a different department or division and bring you new information about the services and facilities provided by the City of Des Moines. Today's program can be seen again during the replays on the dates and times now listed on your television screen. You can also watch Channel 7 online. Go to www.dmgov.org and click on Watch Live. We're also available on YouTube. Go to the web pages for the Public Information Office, where you will find links to www.youtube.com/City of Des Moines, Iowa. Watch any of our TV shows anytime you want to on video on demand. You will also find those links on the Public Information webpage. DMTV is provided to the City of Des Moines by Mediacom Cable. You will find us 24 hours a day, 7 days a week on the basic tier of cable on Channel 7 and on Channel 97-1. For more information, visit us on the web. I'm Amelia Hamilton Morris. Thank you for watching.